Welcome back, everybody. I'm Grace, or Gibby, whatever you prefer, and I'm here today with another Yulgar only video, this time showcasing how to beat the Paladin level 21 quest, and specifically its final boss, the Necromancer Ringleader. For the structure of this video, it's a little different from some of my other ones. I'm not going to showcase the whole quest, I'm just going to show the boss fight because the boss fight is the only hard part. The rest of the quest is just normal monsters that you can chug on through. Also, I have a bunch of other gear in my inventory that I used to get through the quest really fast because I did it like 4 times. But you don't need any of that. All of the gear I'm using is accessible and you don't need to do any quests to get, aside from when I use the Paladin Armor and Sacred Paladin weapons. Those are unlocked via the Paladin quest line, so those are also accessible. For my stats today, I'm using Int, Charisma, and Luck. And I'm running those because I'm using basically like click attack meta, and Intellect is the weakest basic attack stat. Ranged and Strength are both much stronger. So if you can do it with Intellect, you can do it with any build. And of course, if you have Intellect, being practical, you should use spells and stuff. But I didn't, because again, I wanted to show how easy it was if you just know the mechanics and follow the guide. Also, I would recommend changing out luck for endurance if you're having trouble, because luck isn't as good for defense as endurance is, for obvious reasons. And if you're watching the video, this is voiceover, so you're seeing my two weaker setups first in the demonic armor with the demon soul prison shield. I actually died in the first attempt, and in the second attempt I had to drink like 20 potions, so don't follow those two. I've just got them running in the background while I talk. Follow the later two setups in the Paladin armor or the Retro Golden armor. Pick one of those, whichever one you like better. The demonic armor setup is bad, those later two setups are good. Now that the video structure is explained, I'm going to explain the specific boss mechanics. The Necromancer Ringleader is a pack monster that consists of a Necromancer and two basically undead goons. If you don't kill the skeletons first and you attack the Necromancer directly, he has a huge barrier, which is like basically double HP. So it's really a bad idea to attack the Necromancer first, unless you're trying to challenge yourself for some reason. Once the skeleton goons are dead, the barrier goes away, so he just has normal HP, very easy to kill him. One special thing about his minions, though, is that when you kill them, they live on 1 hit point for a turn, and then the next turn they heal like 200 or 300 hit points. And there's a pop-up saying the ringleader draws power from his damaged minion, distract him, or destroy it. When this happens, you either have to kill the minion with damage or stun the necromancer. Otherwise, he gets a damage buff. If you fail one minion, he gets a 25% damage buff, which isn't really a big deal. But if you fail both minions, he gets 100% more damage, so 125% damage buff. That is something you don't want to happen. So it's good to know that after you kill the minion, after you get to 1 HP, you have to do more damage or stun him. I'm going to recommend doing more damage because stuns are a bit inconsistent unless you have some specific gear. Finally, he has two other mechanics that are a lot simpler. His basic attack seeks between fire and dark. So if you're in the Paladin armor or the Retro Golden armor, that doesn't matter because they attack your light resist anyways. But if you're in another armor, you should be aware of that. His SP attack is a Dark Fear spell. Liquid Courage is great to counter this. So, I've explained all his mechanics. There are two good options for how to beat the Ringleader, the Necromancer Ringleader, with ease. You can either use the Paladin class armor to beat him, or you can use the Retro Golden armor and shield. As you can see in the video, I used a Fire Dark compression armor, and it went really bad. So, I really recommend just using Retro Golden or Paladin armor, because they make the fight much, much easier. So I'm going to explain the Retro Golden method first, because it's really simple and really straightforward. That armor not scales to your level, but it has more availability at level brackets, and it scales higher level than the base Paladin armor. So you're defensive enough that you don't really need to worry about any of his mechanics, including the 125% damage buff. All you have to do is use a Liquid Courage Mist, a healing pet, and attack him with any light weapon. A Sacred Paladin weapon works the best, and again, you get the Sacred Paladin weapons by exploring the Paladin training room and clicking on the weapons rack. But you don't need it. As you can see in the video, I didn't need one. I just used a healing spell a couple times, and I was okay. And you think like, but 125% bonus damage, surely that's too much. It's really not. Retro Golden Armor is just super strong, super defensive, so it doesn't matter even if he gets the buff from killing both his minions. So you don't need a strategy to kill the minions. Again, like, you can just attack him down. It really doesn't matter. So I really recommend Retro Golden because it's super straightforward and pretty much foolproof / idiot proof / I wasn't paying attention proof. Like, no matter what you do, you just have a light weapon, Liquid Courage as a darkness defense misc, and you just attack. It's very easy. For the Paladin armor, it's lower level than the Retro Golden armor because you're probably going to be doing this quest at either level 135 or level 150, and the Paladin armor only scales to level 120. So you're going to be taking a little more damage than you would be otherwise. That's why I recommend toggling it to the fully defensive mode with the Mantra of Alignment skill, so you'll take 20% less damage. You'll also do a little bit less damage, but that slower intake of damage means that your healing is more valuable. So I think it's worth it. You should also use the Liquid Courage Mist, as I used in all of my showcases. It cuts damage in half, and it makes you more likely to resist the fear. If you use a Sacred Paladin weapon, which again I recommend doing, and I should say here that Sacred Paladin weapons are bugged. They're not supposed to heal you as much as they do. But even after they get nerfed, if they do get nerfed, the Sacred Paladin weapon will still be able to carry you through the fight. And right now, in their strong state, it makes it so easy. You'll heal more than 100 HP per turn just from the weapon, not even counting your healing pet. So it's really strong. I really recommend using a Sacred Paladin weapon. When you do get the message that the Necromancer is trying to absorb the minion, so when you kill a minion, you kill a second minion, and you get that pop-up, what you should do is you should use the Inner Light spell. And you can use the cheapest version of it, and that should just kill it after it regains some HP. The Necromancer won't get a damage buff. If for some reason both times you use it, it misses, you might be in trouble, but then you can just play more defensively, use a healing potion or two or a healing spell, and you'll be okay. But it's pretty reliable to just use the Inner Light spell to kill the minions when the Necromancer is about to absorb them. Okay, so all of the Paladin abilities that you can use during the fight are pretty good, but I really recommend just using the Inner Light spell and saving it for the minions to make sure you have enough SP or mana if you're a mage to cast it. And then Paladin Armaments, obviously, for the shield, because that is what makes Undead do so little damage. And then I recommend not using the Paladin Armaments weapon. Again, I recommend the Sacred Paladin weapon instead. The only other skill I would use is the Sunscale's Legacy level 19 skill. It just does a ton of damage, and it also has a burn. So I recommend starting off the fight with it. It'll pretty much one-shot the first skeleton minion. So it's just really nice to have. That's pretty much it for the Paladin method. You can use a bunch of the skills. You can try to blind the boss. You can try to panic the boss, burn the boss, whatever. You don't need to. Like, you really don't need to. You can just attack him down and use the Inner Light spells for damage. Those are the two good methods. Retro Golden is great. Paladin Armor is great. Sacred Paladin weapon for both of those methods is really good. The bad method I was using at the beginning of the video, where I actually died the first time and then had to drink like 10 potions the second time, is the Fire Compression Armor and Dual Element Fire Dark Shield. So Demonic Armor is good for it. Wicked King Plate is good for it. There are other Fire Dark Compression Armors, but again, I wouldn't recommend using this. You're less defensive. You don't have the same abilities. You don't have the same like bonuses against undead. I would just use Paladin or Retro Golden. That being said, if you want to use a challenge, then feel free to try it in a Dark Fire Compression Armor. Still use Liquid Courage, and that's pretty much it. So that is pretty much the video. I'll put timestamps so you can see which method I start at which point. And just to be clear, I didn't play the fights optimally. I had all this mana I wasn't using for anything. I was just attacking instead of doing anything special. When you're fighting, obviously you want to spend your resources and utilize your guest slot and stuff like that. I'm just showing you a bare bones strategy. You can do it even if you don't play it that well. Even if you don't use that many complex things, you can still beat it. So that's the point of the video. I hope this helps you. I hope you can follow this guide. If you have any questions or recommendations, please leave them down in the comments. I appreciate any and all feedback. Yeah, I hope this helps you out. Thanks for watching, and peace and love, everybody. I'll see you in the next one.